Welcome drifters. Today I'll be doing another suggested build by, he'll know when he sees it. Not sure if I can pronounce the name right, and that's why I'll just display it over here. Basically we'll be using the dart in combination with the battery and the warp shield. There are a couple of, let's say, more unique aspects to this build. One of them is you could use obsession, but you could also skip it. We'll be using the revelation to stack 3 double taps, and later we'll be using the Stonk's explosive growth to stack heavy calibers. In addition, we'll be needing Phantom Strike, propulsive munitions, and Dead Blossom. All of those are quite a bit of luck will be required to get all of those without the start of research, but let's see how it goes. Luckily we've got the warp shield for the beginning, because the serpent's enemies are quite annoying. And what's really annoying as well is all our 3 beginning gears required a reroll to get, so not the best starts. Who knows, maybe the luck will come on later. I've always found the battery in the Corsair a bit, I don't know, my head gets messed up. I can't really aim so well with the mouse as opposed to just using the keyboard or a controller on those 2 specific bodies. Maelstrom. Where is Maelstrom when you need it? Where is it? Anyway, we'll be needing Warp Strike, definitely. We'll need Tempest Break, definitely. We're also going to need the whole Rapid 3, so I'll just start with this one. I think in the beginning stages the most important, should I say, weapon gear for the battery at this point is any targeting mode, really. Helps quite a bit. Yeah, Warpath, definitely. What else have we got? Revelation, definitely. Because I'm not certain yet whether I'm going to get Obsession, I'll reserve any grandeurs that come across for later on. Like for example, usually I will stack grandeurs with revelation, but I'll only do this if we get an early obsession. Otherwise I'll just use it to stack double taps. Now I'm just going to enter the singularity here. I'm doing this because this in theory allows you to skip less XP. However, I think the next patch actually is going to change this. And there it is. We've got the double tap. So what I was going to say, then in the next patch they made so it's changed, so no longer XP and power-ups will be pulled by singularities. And honestly, I'm not really mad about them pulling XP or anything like that. The only part I find a bit frustrating is when you are fighting a Scion, especially the first Scion. When he starts spawning its own singularities, it seems like trains suddenly decide to appear so much more often on this event, and that is something annoying. Propulsive munitions. I'm getting a little bit ahead of the build already. All of those are things like the double taps or the propulsives are things you'd like to get later. Whenever they come, get them, because you never know whether you find those again. Targeting, definitely. The station is going to be a little bit of a mess with the propulsive and double taps already. We'll have to make it work. Me. There's an upside to propulsive munitions though, if you can manage to get it going with the battery. Because of the slow acceleration we got already by the body stats, propulsive munition like this can help you, like can also be used like a pseudo strafe, which doesn't mean strafe is not good or much better in itself. However, this build requires a lot of things to get it going, so if later on I'm able to get strafe, good. But if not, this will be our only strafing ability. Charge shot. I guess charge shot will be better with the setup we've got already. Currently. It will be necessary in the late game, regardless of what we got now. Next thing, we will need essence up at some point, but I guess it should be better to get warp strike sooner, and then the essence up can work into a much higher effect, should I say, more efficiently, because every projectile, most of the projectiles will hit this way. The bug, the so-called bug feature, where you can bind your fire to two different hotkeys, is still in the game. So once I get both siege weaponry and charge shot, I will be utilizing it a lot. I've gotten so used to it now. That will be a bit of an adjustment to get used to when they remove it. Speaking of the new patch, the new update, part 2 of Enemies 2.0, the beta isn't coming as soon as I was expecting. There are some unforeseen, let's say, issues with what was it, some of the, I don't know, there was a bug or something with the port to the Steam Deck version or something like this, and one of those and most of those bugs are expected to be fixed by the developer, so not the game developer, by the Steam developers, so pretty much outside of boundaries. And if that takes too long, I think there was a solution that they'll just remove the Steam functionality for the beta of the game and wait till the whole thing is sorted out to put the live version on. We'll see how it goes. Actually quite lucky for me, because I'm not in the best, it's not the best time for me to create videos currently. and I expect I'll be going hard when the beta comes. Pretty busy currently. Now that I have both siege and charged, I'm utilizing the double. Wait, did I get siege actually? I didn't get it, so I'm not utilizing shit. That would be especially strong if I have essence sub, but I'll take it now regardless. So basically, for those that don't know, if you have both siege weaponry and charge shot, you can key bind the hotkey for your fire button to different hotkeys. Like for example, I have mine by default right mouse click, and the other is on my control on the keyboard. So I'm doing this, I'm holding the right mouse button all the time, and then I'm using the other hotkey, my control, without letting go of the right mouse button. This makes it so both effects are in order, like the charge shot, the siege plus the charge are both triggering at the same time without starting the charge each time from the beginning. Obviously you can die very easily with this, but you can also get some pretty strong synergies. I'll get this just for the rancor. Battery has a lot of firepower built in from the get-go, so it's really more beneficial to you in general to focus down on the defensive side of things. This is why I will be focusing now on both emergency systems and Tempest Break, because pretty much the best defense currently is your shield, and refreshing it becomes kind of a priority now. Oh, enough with the singularities. I wonder why they code it so they only appear from that corner and they go to the bottom left. I wonder if that could be changed in the future update, so we got a more diverse approach to their events. Like I said, I'll start working towards emergency systems and get strafe, get it, because the original suggested build doesn't have strafe into it. I wonder, did he skip it on purpose, or did he forget to include that? Not sure, but I will be definitely trying to go for it in the late game after I've acquired everything that's required. Speaking of the build itself, I think this is a very powerful one, and he's already provided a link with the full mod list. I will provide this in the description as well, so if you wanna keep track on the build itself all the time, you'll be able to do it through the description of the video. Let's get Warp Strike. Actually, more important to the survivability in general currently than emergency systems and Tempest Break is likely the Essence Sub plus Warp Strike combo. Like kind of more reliable. still to acquire heavy calibers and what was it? What was the other thing? Phantom Strike. One of the best things of the Phantom Strike since Enemies 2.0 is that you can directly charge the bulwarks into their front part, get teleported in the back, and deal a very significant amount of damage, all the while being completely safe from the explosions. Ooh, that was a very interesting. I very rarely had the bulwarks assume this kind of position where it's impossible to dodge it. Why completely? Interesting. Some heavy calibers will be nice, not only for the damage, but the actual slowdown of the projectiles would make it so they aim a bit better. I am going to need this for Tempest Break, so yeah, it's going. I feel very awkward without strafe. I'm so used to using it. I keep pressing the forward strafe. What's more important now? Essence up or Warp Strike? I feel like Warp Strike is a bigger necessity. Plus we get the blink, so just in time for the Warbringer. Wave 8 used to be like I never really felt about the first Warbringer boss as a kind of a big threshold, like a big DPS or build check, the way the reworked station is now in Annihilation. And because of this, I wonder what about the new, I wonder in general about the new Wave 80 boss, whether it's going to provide a much more significant challenge, because the Warbringer is not that easy per se, but it's so susceptible to area damage that pretty much any form of area damage is enough to... Almost. And actually I've gotten the Death Blossom, which is one of the requirements for the build as well. Okay. Luck was on our side as I was just explaining how easy the Warbringer is. And to be fair, he isn't that hard. If I get the Mine Specialist and for only how much more? 2 more mods I can get the loaded mines. So in essence for 3 mods I could use the mines, or alternatively just use drones. Actually we could use mines because the build isn't that mod heavy. Like you still need like 50 levels to get the whole thing, but I still feel like Drone Specialist is the best one in this situation, this build. however, what's the chances of getting it? Not that great. And you still banish the other specialist mods by getting this one. Most likely I will need to wait a bit longer before I get to loaded mines, cause that would unlock the charge mine super mod and basically make, and also retribution and all the other mine mods, which would dilute the overall mod pool. Easy. I believe once the warp strike gets going, everything would become a bit easier and mobility becomes the greatest issue, especially against like hammerheads or like those celestials in the late game are very dangerous. Another. No, that's just wrong. I feel like I'm getting way too distracted and I'm struggling too much on the easy waves. See how it goes. It's fine. Force armor benefits the most, I guess, because of the damage resistance, which is nice for the siege weaponry. We'll see. Currently it feels like I'm getting a bit too unfocused with the mods. Yeah, definitely need to focus more on the defensive side of things and area damage clear, which I guess will be the form of warp strike. Will take care of a lot of these issues. And splinter later on. And the mines, of course. I wonder if the dart projectile latches onto the tracer before the shield is off, their shield. Does that transfer onto the enemy or do you have to reapply it? You know those waves we've got hammerheads spawning from all sides of the screen, but like gradually, not all at the same time. I feel like this is going to be one of the toughest waves for this build, or like the battery in general. It's a very dangerous wave to get. Oh, this one too. This one is a cursed wave, especially on some builds. Could get leaf. Let's see, did he put leaf on the wing? I don't think. Oh, he didn't. Wonder why. I might get it later on. The good thing about propulsive munitions, and once you get the heavy calibers, you'll start getting a lot more knockback. And by this point, I think Tempest Break and emergency systems will have to be already taken, like acquired, for survivability purposes mostly. I'm also quite excited for another suggested build I'm going to do soon. I can't remember on the top of my head who suggested it, but it was Hullbreaker, propulsive munitions and the railgun. I'm not sure if I've made this one before. I think that will be quite interesting, because for the railgun to work properly we will need warp strike, and warp strike with the Hullbreaker is a bit odd and awkward in general. There's a lot of discussions going on about reforming the Spitfires in some way, make it less boring, but also make it that whatever that spirit attack it has a bit more reliable, because currently sometimes it just steers in its own one direction and it's kind of hard to predict to avoid it in the early game. In the late game the issue becomes that they fire the attack so quickly, it's kind of insane, especially the way they charge into you the late game. You know what? I've been avoiding screen warping this whole time because of the damage from warp strike, and I still haven't even taken warp strike. See, with this sub you don't really have issues recovering the self-damage from siege weaponry. It's extremely good. Now those pulsar enemies would definitely require, so burn damage, yeah, let's say this burn damage does work when an enemy has a shield on from the cherub, meaning if you had applied burn damage beforehand and then the enemy gets shielded, the burn damage would continue. However, I'm not sure if that works with damage applied after the effect, after the shield is on. Mobility is a serious issue. Mobility is going to get even more of an issue very soon. So now the thing about this one is you would usually want to get what was it? Power reserves. That's the mod that reduces the penalty to your thrusters when you're charging or when you're sieging with your weapon. However, because of the knockback of all the mods we're going to take and the ones we've taken already, this will actually make it worse, and you will have a far greater knockback if you take this one. So that means I won't take it until very late. I could kill those, or we could let the Scion kill the Warbringer. This will be much better, won't it? Oh shit. Unless it explodes into me. But that's the cool thing about the warp shield, is even if you get a full explosion from a warbringer, the warp shield will always protect you from the second one. So you can't ever get one-shotted from a warbringer if your shield is up. And that's even better once you get emergency systems. Alright, let's continue. It gets more tricky now. Warp strike will be critical to surviving late game against all the warden spawning enemies, because they swarm the whole screen so quickly. You have to be able to deal with those like immediately as they spawn. I hope this is a warp strike now on this level. Uh-oh. I guess Tempest Break would work too. I hate it when on some builds you just can't get to warp strike in time. It's not like... Oh. Whenever you are in a pinch like that, always fire the weapon, cause essence sap is going to recover a lot of... Even if you're at max HP and you are anticipating getting hit, if you fire the weapon, because of the damage over time the dart applies, you are going to recover as soon as you take even 1 point of damage, which in essence would just increase your effective total HP for the current situation, making it more likely to survive, or should I say less likely to die to something stupid. Let's see. Didn't even... It hasn't put neither efficiency nor the blast trees, so I'll skip those. It hasn't put neither of those two. And this leaves us just with warp strike, which is I guess the best thing. And I think once I get emergency systems, and if we can get phantom strike, that's about everything taken as far as the suggestions go. Oh no, I haven't taken the heavy strike. So after I take heavy strike, 4 heavy strikes, propulsive munition of... Let's do it again. Explosive growth into 4 heavy calibers, then phantom strike, then emergency systems. Once I take all these 3, if I'm still going, then I think I'm opening to interpretation for the build. Basically that means I'm getting strafe, because I can't without it. The ages, definitely. What was that knockback from a simple pulsar against the battery? Because the battery is supposed to resist knockbacks, isn't it? Especially with Juggernaut, and especially while charging. We get those kind of things as the game goes on. Just don't let me end it prematurely. Starting to get a bit worried about the Phantom Strike. Did I miss it by any chance? And also I'm thinking calibration should work very well for this one. Like if I get this and then twice heavy caliber, there will be 3 mods to get 4 heavy cows, but it's more likely than explosive growth into heavy caliber. Or maybe I should just get a chaotic ambition. I mean, you can't say no to obsession. Early obsession is great, but sometimes it can mess your build up because you're taking too much wild mods. I mean, I can't help myself. But in the late game, once the build is established, it should help, shouldn't it? When we're level 45 with 1 grandeur, which means level 43 basically. And if I make it to the very late game, I'm likely to get level 55. And unless I die to something stupid, the build is more than capable of making it. By the way, how does the game audio versus the microphone sound this time? I've made more adjustments to the overall microphone settings. I think that's better now. I wonder, do you still hear like some fan background noises? Because some of you said that before you used to hear those, which I'm not sure where they come from. See, this is why the warp shield is so good in unpredictable situations or like emergency situations. Like there's just much more room for error. Like these waves are extremely dangerous later on if you can't deal with them quickly enough. That's not even that later on. I think I'll just have to put the mines on autocast. Auto deploy. Emergency systems, right? You know what I always found very interesting and awkward at the same time? The last bonus the emergency systems provides, 25% total thirst and regeneration rate. Like, there aren't really many builds that come to my mind that could actually benefit from the regeneration rate. There's like just 1 or 2 examples where you don't take essence up over the blank regeneration, because having shields means you won't be getting rapid reconstruction, so your regen won't be good, like won't be that good from to begin with. So kind of interesting. I would think maybe if that got buffed to like 100%, so if you have like 6-7 regen with just regeneration without rapid reconstruction, that would mean every time the shield breaks you would recover an extra 7 or something like this, which is... oh, quiet. Situation dealt with. Ooh. That's a nasty wave. Ooh, that's very nasty. Ah, no! Ah! Oh, come on. Why? Well, this is what it is. The reality of my novadrift career. The reality of doing a novadrift build video is I do the same build over and over and over and over again until I make it to a much later wave, basically. And that's it. Thanks for watching.